Welcome to another video by Tiffany Tillman Manual of Scrapbook. In this video, I want to show you just how easy it is to build a scrapbook page that has a combination of blend work, geometric photos. That's actually not an easy thing to accomplish because they are completely different sets of shapes. On one hand, we have brushwork, which is typically going to be organic. And then you are combining that with the look of geometric shapes that have angles and lines. And that's a little bit tricky to put on a scrapbook page. But I've designed a tool called the Modern Storyteller Templates, which can show you easily where to place your or position your pieces on a scrapbook page so you can get that look. And I've built a set of templates. This set right here is the January 2021 album set for Photoshop and Photoshop Elements users. And I will be designing a new set of album templates each month. You can actually break these down and buy them in sets of 6 or buy the entire album. So let me open up a few of them and show you how you can use them, because they aren't for the scrapbooker, the digital scrapbooker, who tends to like to use just a few layers. Brushwork in itself usually has more than just a few layers, and these certainly do. And so I want to show you how you can use them to your advantage. So I've opened up the Modern Storyteller Templates number 5. And here is my layers panel on the right-hand side. Just to kind of walk you through what you can expect in these templates in the layers panel. There's a background layer, of course. Typically you're not going to use it, but if you find that you need it, it's there, or you can add a paper to the background and clip it. There is an adjust color or clip paper layer. This is what's going to give you that really cool color that's behind all of the other pieces. So if you look in the templates here where you see this big strong dash of color, that's going to give you that look, this layer right here. You can also be so bold to clip solid color patterns if you want to have a more textured look behind it, or you can clip a photo to it, but play around with it and see what you get. There are also layers that are called white space or empty layers. These are the layers that bring in the tension or the contrast or the divide. And I'll talk about that in a bit, but you'll see that there are some that are white space or empty space. And then there are some that have a hairline, which is this itty bitty line that you see right here. These help to create the separation in between the shapes and the brushwork. So you have the option of removing these, or you can make them larger without introducing pixelation. I've left them as vectors. Again, not simple scrapbooking, right? What's a vector? Hang out with me, come on. All right, so we also have brush patterns. And these are where you would want to clip your patterned papers. Talk about that in a second. There's also layers where you can clip your photos. And then there's journaling and a photo legend at the top that you can toggle on or off or just simply delete. It lets you know the corresponding layer where you would want to clip your photo. So for example, if it's 2, then you'll want to make sure that you are targeting the layer named 2 in the layers panel. Okay, so how do we make this? How do we turn this into something that looks beautiful, that has brushwork and geometric shapes? You know what? I'm glad you asked me. Let me show you how this gets done, okay? The first thing is that you're gonna want to use some pattern paper, and not just some pattern paper. You're gonna want to specifically choose patterns that have an already organic or brush-worked look. You are not going to choose geometric shaped patterns. That means patterns that have a repeating pattern or a seamless pattern to them, where it's a houndstooth or a checkerboard or stripes. That's not going to look great on this particular style of template. It is made to be brushwork. It is made to look organic. So for this particular demonstration, I'm going to use Melic, which is by Anna Aspenez, who has great abstract brushwork types of paper that work great for this look. There are many others, and I'm going to link them to you in the show notes on the YouTube channel. However, these types of papers are they're gonna sing in this type of look. Okay, so if you look at the layered template, you'll see that there's layered names that are called brush pattern A, brush pattern B, and you might even find one that has brush pattern C. These are the particular layers that kind of connect together. We don't link them together. So the brushwork flows into one another. That's one of the important keys about this type of template. When the brushwork can flow and kind of play into one another, you can create some really incredible looks. So let me show you what that means. Brush pattern A for alpha is going to be the most important pattern. It's the strongest pattern, and you'll see that it happens twice. Brush pattern A over here and brush pattern A over here. When I grab a paper, let's say this artsy paper 2 from the Melic, I'm going to open it up in my photo editor and drag it in. And then I'm just going to clip it, create a clipping mask from that pattern to brush pattern A, and there it shows up right there. Okay. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate this pattern. I'm actually going to go hold down the Alt or the Option key and just drag it up. And that's going to create a duplicate one, so I don't have to make any more changes. I don't have to right click and select duplicate. And then I'm just going to clip it to another pattern that's called brush pattern A. And you'll see that they look like they're flowing into one another. Why is that important? It's not. It just makes it looks cool when you're developing your page. So that's brush pattern A. But there are also other brushes that are intersecting with brush pattern A, and that's going to be brush pattern B. So I'm going to grab something that's like a secondary pattern. I'm also going to drag it in and reposition it so it fills up the entire piece here. So far, so good. And then I'm going to clip it to brush pattern B. And you'll notice that as soon as it's clipped to brush pattern B, that it starts to intersect with the other brush pattern. Here's why this stuff can get pretty cool. Let's say brush pattern A is right here, right? We can see it right here. I can move the pattern of brush pattern A, so that way I get a different type of look. Something like this, right? It doesn't have to be exact. You can switch it around, but you can play with additional papers and a different look to get, something different. I'm going to rotate it this way. So it just gives me a different colorization with the papers directly. Then I have a couple more gray patterns that are still left. There is this pattern up here that also shows a brush pattern A. And then I have another pattern right here, or color area. So let me show you what I would do. I'm going to take my brush pattern A again, because again, these work. I'm going to drag it up here and clip it. And it looks like this pattern now is spilling over into this geometric area. And of course, you can still rotate it or play around with the look, but it immediately creates or presents this flow together, this flow through of different brush patterns. It'll give you a different flow into this geometric part. Now, what about this final part here? This part that has, what are we going to do with this? Well, there's a number of things that you could do. You can click on it, click on the thumbnail of this layer and select a color. That's one way of doing it. Another way to do it is to grab a third paper, drag it in, you guessed it, and simply clip it to that layer. And now you have a highly decorative flow through on your layout that not only takes advantage of patterned brushwork, but also flow and colors and geometric presence. And man, I just love layouts that look like this. This is where we started, and this is where we ended up. And because it's a template, it didn't take that long to create. You don't have to only use abstract papers and brushwork on these kinds of kits. You can also use mixed media as well. Let me show you. So for example, in this particular template, which is number 9, there is a brush pattern A, a brush pattern B, and just a simple adjust color or clip pattern paper. So these particular papers, which is by NBK Designs, have a little bit more of a mixed media feel to them. And there are some papers that are specifically geometric or have a repeating pattern. I'm not going to use those, but I am going to point towards ones that do have more of a mixed media type of look. There is gesso, there are pattern combinations, and then there's a lot of brushwork already implied. So I might take this and apply it to brush pattern A. And there's some spillover here, so I need to reposition it using the transform tools and just kind of slide it into a place where I like what I'm seeing. So there's a little bit of difference between what you see at the top versus what you see at the bottom, different kinds of colors. And so I'm going to get a little bit of that paper in here, that ivory paper. And then I still have brush pattern B to contend with. So I might look for something that's, different. I could use this ball pattern. This would look pretty cool. Let's try it out. Add that in there and clip it to brush pattern B. And that gives me, of course, a completely different look. And then behind here, I have the color. I can click on the thumbnail of this color fill adjustment layer and select a color. Or I can grab another paper, an artsy paper, or maybe even a solid color. Let me see if there's a solid. Yeah, there are. I could grab a solid, certainly. Let's try this one right here and post it up behind that layer and clip it. And that gives me a very simple look. And I did not have to go through and use a lot of brushes to get there. It's kind of adds interesting dynamic already to your layout. And if, for example, you don't like where your journaling is because of the pattern that you're using, it doesn't show up, you could certainly move it to most parts of the layout. And you can use your transform tools on the type tool to adjust the boxes or the placement of the type. And certainly, let's reduce this down. There we go. Play around with how you're going to tell your story on these kinds of layouts. Back to my original layout here. The entire purpose of using templates in this manner is so that you can quickly get a page done fast, right? I mean, I don't know any point of trying to use specific templates and then not being able to have the option to get stuff done quickly. It's the whole point of a template. And then once the template is set, you have your pictures, you have your general focus of the visual parts that you're going to add, then you can really start to have fun by adding in all of the extra pieces that, are really going to help your layout look good, stand out, comfort you. Just do those things that make you say, this is, scrapbooking. This is how scrapbooking is fun, and how you can easily put together pieces. And when a kit and layouts come together so quickly, so easily, then, that's just a great thing. I absolutely adore templates and making templates and using templates that allow me to create a mood or put together a scrapbook page. And I did not have to work very hard to do it. And so that's why I design the kits, not just for the community of digital scrapbookers, but also for me, because when I do finally get the chance to sit down and scrapbook, on a Saturday before everybody starts waking up in the morning or possibly even in the evenings, I just want to be able to sit down and work really quickly and get my layouts done. And that's what this template set is all about. So I'm just looking through the different pieces that Anna has in her Melic kit and adding them slowly but surely, trying to work with the visual design and the different pieces and have a lot of fun with where the pieces are placed. And one thing I just love about Anna's kits are quite a few of them are already pre-shadowed. So it makes building the kits or the template or the actual layout really easy. I'm going to add a style real quick just to have some dimension. And I'm building an embellishment grouping over here. And just a few more pieces. This layout, which I have designed completely without the exception of just adding in these pieces or the photographs while I have been talking on the video, has taken me less than 10 minutes to put together. And I might, play around with the general pieces, with the general design every now and then. But if I can build a brushwork layout in less than 10 minutes, you know how many pages I can get done? That's the best part. I want to be able to scrapbook quickly, and I can as long as I have the resources to be able to do that. I'm okay with how this looks right here. Man, there's so many good pieces to add. I kind of want to do something like a little embellishment grouping over there on that side. And I'm just trying to figure out how I want to do it. This might work. Let's try it like this. I have way too many things open. That's cool. Makes me kind of want to put it over here. I don't mind that. It needs a little blue, right? It needs a little blue, but I don't mind that at all. And I'm just working quickly to try and get some blue in there. Leave it like that. Whoop. See if I can grab it. Okay. Just a little blue. Just a hint of blue. Great. And if I was going to put a title, I guess I could put it over here. I have a couple of options. Might lose that journaling because I don't need all of it. And something over here. Although sometimes it's just hard to figure out what it is that you want to put, right? How about that? Let's try this. Grab that. There we go. I'm going to put this one behind all of the pieces. A little bit further back behind the photos in my layers panel. And probably back here too. Trying to see, there we go. I'm going to clip it to this particular layer here so that I still get the outline around my photos. And I think that's coming together pretty good. I'm going to play around with this one for a few more minutes and show you my end result. Here's my final page. I've played around with the title a bit. I'm not sure that I'm happy with a title when I place it in there. I feel like the layout doesn't need it. All it needs is my journaling, which is going to be based on my daughter's Sugar Rush. Gave her this bright red lollipop, and it was fun and games until that Sugar Rush hit her head and she was all not having that. But this is the layout, lots of layers, easy to put together once I had the basis for the background placed in all of the other individual pieces of the brushwork. You can see it coming together. And then added in those photos, which are very important for telling the story. And then using these white space areas to block off the potential parts of the layout so that it kind of tempered down the strong patterns, but then gave the layout shape and flow. And that's what these storyteller templates are allowed to do. Then you take all of the additional parts that you can get within some type of kit like this, add in some journaling, if you will, and then grab your embellishments. And a lot of these can just be placed in here, add some shadows to them, and your layout starts to take shape. I've added some additional brushwork that came with the Mellet kit by Anna Aspinaz, and then made sure that I had just a few dimensional pieces that needed shadows to show off the versatility of the flat two-dimensional design and turn it into a three-dimensional design piece. All right, I can't wait to see if you grab these templates. I sure hope you do. You will find them at shopscrapandears.com. And these are the storyteller templates that are from the January 2021 album. And I cannot wait to see what you do with them. Please link me to your layouts in the YouTube channel. I hope that you'll subscribe and look forward to new videos that show you how to create different kinds of looks, and especially if they create them fast, hey, why not? My name is Tiffany Tillman Emanuel, and until our next layout build together, happy scrapbooking.